Hello and welcome to another video from the only source of information that you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy. And today we're going to talk about the nutty video I produced a couple of weeks ago. Since then, me and Carlos have gotten together and tried to produce a video explaining what's going on with me, and we just can't do it. Try to keep this short and sweet. The main thing that you need to know, in case you're wondering, is yes, I am God's prophet. And so when I started this channel years ago, I started talking about things that had not been heard by people for thousands of years, and it was exactly the opposite of what all religions on earth teach. And it was, the stuff I was talking about was undeniable. You could go look for yourself at the original Greek and Hebrew versions of the Bible and see that what I was saying was true. And in most cases you could just go look at an English Bible and see that what I say is true. I mean, it's not like God made it difficult to figure out who's his prophet and who are Satan's prophets. Basically, Satan is the father of all religions, and to this day all religions basically have to produce his propaganda. They're not allowed to teach the truth. So why am I losing my mind right now? Why am I unable to function? I'm unable to make videos. Why is it that when I do produce a video it's just me crying and saying I can't do it? Well, what goes along with being God's prophet is a system of abuse that you wouldn't believe. And I'm going to try to keep this short, but ever since I was a child, little bitty child, I've been abused by everybody. When I was in first grade, first day of first grade, all of the little boys beat me while the little girls laughed at me, and the teacher stood around watching. And I tell people that story and they don't believe me, but that is my life. That's how things went. And the next day when I went to school, it happened again. And every day I was abused at school. Now, eventually it got to where I wasn't being physically beaten every day, but, you know, I would be like thrown into a garbage can, or someone would break my glasses, or someone would take my homework and tear it up. And that happened for 12 years. I knew I wanted out. I didn't want to spend the rest of my life in the system. So I found out that the military had a 20-year retirement. And I joined the military because I just wanted to go somewhere for 20 years. You know, I was 18 years old. At 38, I would be retired. I'd never have to work again. I could just go hide out somewhere and get my monthly check. So I went down and talked to the recruiter, and he told me, you know, what I could expect. Because, you know, when you join the military, you're a nobody. And then you get trained how to sweep a floor, and then you get trained how to paint, and then you get trained to do some kind of a technical job. And every time you go to the next level, they give you an increase in rank. And so to retire, all I really needed to do was go do what was expected of me, increase in rank for 20 years, and then get out. Well, for the 6 years that I was in the military, I never once got an increase in rank. I did all the things they asked. I learned how to sweep, learned how to paint, learned how to work on equipment. Did everything they asked of me. Always kept my uniforms nice, kept my space nice and clean. But I never got an increase in rank. And I'm looking at it thinking, first off, I hate the military. I hate everything about it. And secondly, if I never get an increase in rank at 20 years, I still won't be able to retire because my income won't be high enough. And during the 6 years, even though I didn't get beaten, not regularly, I was psychologically abused. So they would like give me a job to do. I'd go do it, and they'd say, okay, now you can go lay down and sleep. I'd go get in my bed, An hour later, they would wake me up and give me some stupid job, like go sweep something. Middle of the night, what didn't matter. They never ever let me sleep. So for 6 years, they used sleep deprivation to try to break me, to try to make me into one of them. And so that's all that it was about, all the way from the beginning. And when I was in first grade and they were beating me, you know, I would tell my parents that this was happening. I mean, I didn't even have to tell them. I'd come home crying. And so my parents would go down to the school and ask what was going on. They, you know, and they would do what they could. But I think all along they were kind of hopeful that if I got beaten enough that I would become like them, you know, because no parent wants their child to grow up like me. They want somebody that's going to just mindlessly do what civilization requires, and I wasn't that person. But when I got out of the Navy, looking for answers, I joined Jehovah's Witnesses. And the reason I did that is because I knew the world was wicked. I knew civilization was wicked. And the Jehovah's Witnesses taught that they were no part of civilization. You know, the scripture says, I think it's 1 John 5:19, they're no part of the world. The word world is cosmos, and cosmos basically just means civilization. And so even though I went there hoping that that's what they were, didn't take long to figure out that it was exactly the opposite. I mean, they are proponents of all of the stupid stuff that civilization does with their hierarchy. You know, they got to wear the right clothing, you got to use the right language, got to eat the right food. So all of those silly rules that every religion has, they had them. All of the silly rules of civilization, they were in support of that. You know, so basically, like every other religion, sex, drugs, rock and roll is bad, conformity is good. And because I didn't conform with civilization, I've always been kind of outside of that. The Jehovah's Witnesses started abusing me, and it was just as bad as the abuse I got in school and that I got from the Navy. And so I started doing what I'm doing now, or what I was doing. I found out about YouTube. I started producing Bible videos where I told people about what was in the Bible, the things that no one else was telling people about. Now, when I started my search for God, I was aware that in the Bible there was a man named Elijah, and that the Bible promised that before the last days Elijah would come back. And I knew from my study of the Bible that we were living in a time period that could easily be described as before the last days. And so you go back and look, right before the destruction of Jerusalem the first time, Elijah, the actual Elijah, the prophet, was sent. Right before the destruction of Jerusalem in Jesus' day, the prophet Elijah came in the form of John the Baptist. And so I'm looking for this guy because I know a whole lot of stuff and the rest of the world doesn't know it. And I figured if I find the guy that knows the stuff I know, that I would find God's one true religion, or his group of people. I knew that wherever Elijah was, he would be surrounded by the people that were doing God's will. Well, I did the YouTube thing probably 15 years now. And every time I wanted to make a video, I would pray about it, and I would have these prophetic dreams where I would get my answer to whatever the question was I had. And I know that, like when I was making the videos, people would leave comments on the videos asking me if I was God's prophet, or just asking me, who are you? Or asking me, how do you know these things? And I guess after years and years of searching for Elijah and not finding him, I just finally came to the conclusion that I had to be Elijah. I mean, I pray, God, please show me an answer to this strange part of the Bible. I would go to sleep, and I would have bizarre dreams and wake up knowing, just instantly knowing, things that no one else knew. And if you watch my videos, you'll understand. If you're just here to harass me, and then you're not. But back when I was very, very young and I realized, you know, I had no friends, I knew that I had to be friends with God. And so I prayed. I've prayed many times about many things, but one of my big prayers was, please let me be one of your prophets. Let me be one of your apostles. Let me be one of the people that you use to do the things that Elijah did. Now, at the time, I thought that maybe I had become God's prophet because I asked for that assignment. I really think now that the reason I asked for that assignment was because I already was God's prophet. You know, that if you look at the things I've produced, you know, the very first time I ever put out a video that I knew was like supernatural, it was the video about the all-seeing eye. And the dream for that went along with that caused me to figure that out was so bizarre. I really kind of, you know, I knew something was going on, but I really didn't know what. And I thought that was it. I've done a groundbreaking video that'll be remembered for all history. I'll never do that again. But every week I was producing videos that were every bit as profound as the All-Seeing Eye video. I did the Written in Stone series. I did the Melchizedek series. And so I eventually accepted that I was God's prophet. Now, another thing I've always prayed for, ever since I was very little, was a girlfriend. I always wanted someone to love, someone to be there with me, to support me, to be a partner with me, to help me get through emotional crises. And I never got that. I mean, I would pray until I was crying, please God, let me have a girlfriend. And it never happened. But, you know, I was raised in churches where Jesus was a virgin, the apostles were virgins, Jesus' mama was a virgin. Everybody in the Bible, even the ones who had multiple wives, were somehow, you know, there was some kind of explanation for why they did that. Because sex is wrong, romance is wrong, all of that according to the churches. And so I accepted that if Jesus and the apostles and the prophets could do what they did without any help, living all alone, sleeping in a cold, cold bed by themselves, that somehow I could do that too. And so what happened, there's a series of events that broke me. Now, I have had hundreds of dreams, prophetic dreams about Bible videos I could make, and yet I'm unable to do it now because something in my head just finally snapped. And so even though I know a lot of information that no one else knows, I don't know how to present it because I'm so psychologically scrambled right now. You know, I'm living in like an emotional version of chaos. And this happened a few years ago. You know, I had the dream about Mary Magdalene at some point. If you haven't seen my videos, you need to go back and watch the Melchizedek video series where I explain who a lot of the people in the Bible are, because they're all important. The churches have no clue who they are. And yet I've produced very logical explanations using nothing more than the Bible to reveal the identities of these people. And one of those people was Mary Magdalene. When I prayed about that, it was revealed to me that Mary Magdalene was Jesus' lover. At that point, I was also doing research about all of the apostles who I thought were not allowed to have girlfriends or wives. I mean, obviously, you get to the end of the Bible and it says some of them did have wives, like Peter. But suddenly I'm hurt because in May I turned 60 years old and I've never had a girlfriend. And I thought that that was something I just had to endure in order to be God's prophet. But once I found out that all of the apostles, all of the prophets, Jesus, and pretty much everybody God used had multiple girlfriends and wives, and their girlfriends and wives had multiple husbands and boyfriends. And I'm just thinking, why? You know, why am I all alone? Why did I have to be alone for 60 years? Why couldn't I have had somebody there to hold my hand, someone to sleep next to me, someone to kiss me, someone to make love to? If all of these guys got to, you know, and I just was so hurt that I couldn't function. Well, when that happened, I had a dog. And a dog is not a girlfriend, but a dog is someone that you love dearly. And even though I was no longer a Jehovah's Witness, I had bought a house with a bunch in a Jehovah's Witness neighborhood when I was a Jehovah's Witness. So I'm surrounded by Jehovah's Witnesses. And they were upset that I was making Bible videos and I was not going to the Kingdom Hall. And so I've revealed before that my neighbors came over here and they killed my chickens with a BB gun. I would be standing in my yard and they would just come over and kill my chickens with a BB gun. And I couldn't get anybody the police, no one to help me with this. And so then I watched my neighbor poison my dog and kill my dog. Now, I mean, you don't know that any of this was going on, but it was. In the background, when I was making less and less videos and I was breaking down and crying and I was not functioning properly, it was because of that. I'm sitting here thinking, I'm 60 years old, I've never had a girlfriend, and now my neighbor gets to come over here with impunity and kill my dog. Now, when I made that video, I read a letter. That letter was from the man that killed my dog. And basically he's saying, sorry about the misunderstanding. Jehovah wants you back at the Kingdom Hall. I will always be your friend. That killing, you know, he didn't, I don't even know how to explain it. I don't want to get all overly emotional, but I watched this man murder my best friend, my only friend, right in front of my eyes. And now he's writing me a letter saying it was all a misunderstanding, like I didn't even see that or something. The man would stand at the edge of his property when I drove past, and he would smile at me, and he would hold the BB gun in front of him that he used to kill my chickens. And what's really bad is that when he did that, I was telling my neighbors that he killed my dog, and suddenly I'm the black sheep of the neighborhood because I spoke poorly of one of God's chosen elders. So that's the world I have to deal with right now. At some point, I mean, Carlos wants to help me. I've got several friends that want to help me make videos. And in fact, even though I've never had like a real girlfriend that I could make love to or talk, you know, hold at night. I have reached out to several of my female subscribers who I love very much. Currently, there are 3 of them. I'm sure that more will join in, and maybe some of them will leave. But when my dog died, if I had not had one of my female subscribers to cry with me, I don't know what I would have done. Carlos wants to help me. Each of those women wants to help me. I've got other male friends that want to help me. So hopefully as time goes on, I don't see myself ever being able to make a scripted video again because my mind is scrambled. When they killed my dog, something in my head broke. I didn't tell God that I will never do a video for you again because you let them kill my dog. It's just that psychologically I have to be in the right place to make these 6-hour Bible videos, the series that I do. I wake up every day and the first thought that comes into my head is I'm all alone. And if I sit down and start writing out a script, my hand just automatically wants to type, I'm all alone. I have no one. There's no one there for me. Which isn't true. Like I said, I've got friends I talk to on Skype daily. But it's not the same as laying down in a bed with someone I love holding me. And as much as I love all of my close friends, male and female, as much as I really, really love my female friends, I still feel alone. I feel crushed. I thought from the beginning that I would be the guy that would be doing this work all the way to the end. God is able to do miracles. At some point, hopefully He'll heal my brain, or at least give me the power to finish writing all of the unfinished scripts I have for Bible videos. Carlos wants me to tell you about the dreams where all of those videos were revealed to me. Maybe we'll do that sometime. Maybe we'll do more in-depth videos about the abuse I've suffered because of this position that I have. Maybe we'll do more Bible videos. I don't know. Right now, I'm unable to function like I used to. And probably at some point in the next 24 hours, I'll cry myself to sleep again. I don't plan on that. I can't help it. I tell people all the time that when you're one of God's prophets, it's very similar to being mentally ill. It's not something that I go out and do intentionally. It's something I cannot control. I love all of y'all. I hope you understand that what I'm going through is out of my control. I have pretty much given up on everything. And until God does something significant, I am not going to be able to produce the same kind of videos I produced before. If you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.